Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time, thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi there, and welcome to New Life Live. This is a very special edition of New Life Live because, well, we've got a very special guest with us. And, of course, Dr. Sheri Keffer is a very special co-host who has the respect of a lot of you and certainly me. But also, and hi, Sheri.
Hey,
how are you?
Good to be with you today.
Well, it's good to be with you. And, you know, I'm always excited. I always love it. When Dr. Amen is on with us, and he is on with us today. Dr. Amen, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, despite the pandemic that is just sweeping America. You know, this is a time that we will always remember.
Yeah.
And
yes.
when we come out of it, I just want to know that, you know, there's still going to be a lot of love between us. And I'm grateful to be with you guys today.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks.
Well, one of the reasons I'm really thrilled you're on today is you're a psychiatrist. You're not just a psychologist, but you've been through all of the medical training that everybody else has been through. And so I'm thinking that, you know, people who are wondering from a medical profession standpoint, you know, is there anything we don't know about or whatever, you know, maybe this hour they will come to know better about that because, you know, I want to talk to you about it. But also, we're going to talk about The End of Mental Illness, which is your new book, and it's just such a great read. You know, I would say to any pastor out there, biblical counselor, coach, or anybody interested in what we do, here's a book that would just enlighten you so very much. And we have it. But there's another book that we have also. And it's a book called Stones of Remembrance. And Dr. Amen compiled all of these great scriptures. And let's just say you were having a bit of fear over what's going on out there. Well, you would just turn to 12 verses to remember when you're afraid. And my favorite, number 2 in that section is this: God has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but of power, love, and self-discipline. And so now, should you feel ashamed if you're afraid? No. What we're saying here with this scripture is God didn't put this fear in us. And so with the love of God behind us and God's amazing power, we need to look at what is it that is really causing me to shut down or be overly obsessed rather than just doing what I need to do. So that with that spirit of power and love and self-discipline, let's be courageous and get to whatever it is that makes this fear maybe greater than anything else. But I got to tell you, you know, I go back to my mom's wisdom. It's always something. If it's not one thing, it's another. And you never know. Boy, is this an example of you never know. Who would have dreamed 3 weeks ago this is what we'd be dealing with? But God is good, and we'll get through it together.
You know what? I love the hope in both of your voices and your hearts. My favorite verse for right now is Psalms 33:19. And it's a promise that I've used at multiple times when I've been really afraid. And it talks about how God will deliver us from death and keep us alive in famine. And you know what? Right now, I'm taking God at His word, because
Amen.
He does have promises that keep us out of fear if we believe and trust Him to take care of us in the midst of all that's happening around us.
Okay, so enough of us. We're gonna hear from Dr. Amen, and we're gonna hear from you. 1-800-229-3000. Come join us.
Have you experienced a crushing blow to your world? Do you feel all alone or humiliated? Do you feel inadequate, judged, confused, or devastated? Then I think you need Restore.
Hi, my name is Sheri Martinkus, and I want to personally invite you to the Restore workshop. If you have been affected by betrayal, I would love for you to come join us.
At Restore, it's a shame-free zone, a safe environment. You'll feel like you have more options. You can rebuild your life with or without him. You'll have more faith in the future and God. I think it's time to invest in yourself.
The Restore Workshop is coming to Dallas, Texas, July 19th to the 21st. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here, and I cannot tell you how amazing this and insightful this book is, and it could help you. You've got plenty of time, and if you give us a gift of any amount, we'll send you a copy of The End of Mental Illness. Now, the paperback is that's about $17. The hardcover is about $26. So you get it from us, whatever you can give. I'm going to send you this book. I want you to have it. But Dr. Amen, before we go to calls and talk about coronavirus or anything else, I do want, we love you because of what you know about the brain and mental illness. And so during times like this, what's the best thing a person can do for their brain, their heart, their soul, just being a human being?
So first off, the book's just in hardcover for now. You got the advanced reader copy, which was in paperback, but hopefully it'll stay in hardcover for a long time. And, you know, now is a time to know the truth. And what is the truth? That the people among us who are most vulnerable are our parents. So it's my 88-year-old mother and 90-year-old father. But even then, of the people who get it, who are older, 93% of them survive it. And then if you go to people our age, you know, it's like 99% of the time, even if we get it, we don't die. And so living in fear damages your immune system, making it more likely you'll get it, and it will attack you. So in the book, I talk about killing the ants, the automatic negative thoughts. So as we wash our hands, mental hygiene is just as important as washing your hands. We have to disinfect our thoughts. And so, yes, wash your hands, do social distancing. But we live in a time now where people can hear you, you know, virtually every day of the week. And so even though we shouldn't be touching other people, we don't know, we can still reach out and touch those we love with technology, and getting the wisdom from the End of Mental Illness, hopefully, but also from the New Life Ministry, which is just everywhere to help people.
You know, Dr. Amen, you bring up a good point. In talking about fear, one of the things I'm noticing is as things slow down, people are becoming more glued to their TV screen. And in a way, it's feeding their fear because they're spending hours wondering about what the next 10 minutes is going to look like. Can you talk about that in light of how we can protect our brains with some limited viewing right now?
So in the End of Mental Illness, there's a writing device I like a lot. And I just imagined if I was an evil ruler and I wanted to create mental illness across the world, what would I do? Well, I'd create this 24-hour news cycle that leads always with fear. And it does that because the brain has been designed to pay attention to fear first, because it's a survival mechanism. But now technology companies know that, and so they lead with fear because fear drives clicks, and clicks drive eyeballs to ads, which drive revenue. And you don't want to do that because it will damage your immune system. Being chronically exposed to these stress hormones will actually hurt your immune system and shrink a very important part of the brain called the hippocampus, which is involved with both mood and memory. So yesterday I did an Instagram Live with Miley Cyrus, and Miley came out and said she'd been a patient of mine for 10 years. And the reason she stopped smoking pot is I told her about the hippocampus, which is, the name is Greek for seahorse because it's a seahorse-shaped structure in your brain. And it produces 700 new stem cells every day. And so I was telling her it produces 700 new baby seahorses every day, and that the marijuana was shrinking or killing her seahorses because she's an animal lover, and she's like, it got her to stop smoking pot because she didn't want to damage the seahorses. But, you know, the 24-hour news cycle is damaging those baby seahorses, which damage your brain and make you more vulnerable to both memory problems and depression.
Awesome. Well, we are in a campaign with you, Save the Seahorses. And so, this morning I got up and I took my focus medication, my supplement. I took my maximum brain supplement packet. I also took my powder to maximize my brain function. And I got to tell you, the supplements and all that I take, I rarely get sick. And I think a lot of it has to do with attitude, and a lot of it has to do with supplements, and a lot of it has to do with a wife who's very wise about all of this stuff. And I just want to recommend to folks, trust God, pray, lean on him, wash your hands, and take your supplements and build that immune system. If you want to join us, I'm going to go to the phones right now. 1-800-229-3000. Rarely do people get to have an experience where they can talk with Dr. Amen directly, but you can. 1-800-229-3000, and we're going to be here in the studio for 2 hours. And let me say it again, gift of any amount, you get the end of mental illness. And I'm telling you, you will love it. One of the most fascinating things, it talks about how every, even in the Plasticine era, I think, what would have happened if somebody said, I've got a problem here, how it would have been treated, whether it was a hole being drilled in your head or lobotomy or all these horrible things. And now we're coming to a place where we have the best chance ever not to succumb to any kind of damage. We can overcome, we can persevere through it. And I'll talk to you about one of the people that came to Finding Freedom. That's one of my favorite people now in the whole world. Let's go to Mandy, Duluth, Georgia, WNIV. You're on with Dr. Sheri, Keffer, Dr. Daniel Amen. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
And,
what's going on?
I have a question. I don't know what to do in this situation. Me and my brother, we live together. We have a house together. And it's been about 13 years since he worked, and I have been taking care of him financially. And now I'm at the point where I have lost my job. I cannot take care of him anymore. And he's been going through a lot of mental depression since about 15 years ago. We lost our parents, and then following 6 months later, I guess it was 6, 7, 8 months later, he lost his job, and he never dealt with his emotions and everything. And he's been going through a deep depression, and now is coming out in a reckless behavior.
Okay, so what's the question? What's the question there for Dr. Amen then?
And I want to know is what kind of help can I get for him, because he won't go on his own. And if I mention anything type of help for him, he gets angry and then start destroying the house.
Okay.
You know,
and
holes everywhere. I don't know what to do.
Mandy, he's 50 years old. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Your phone is a little bit of a problem, and so I'm going to just have you hold there, and we're going to talk to you. But Dr. Amen, 13 years, no job. And she's in a place where she can't support him. What do you think?
It's just so hard. And the first thing is to make sure you stay healthy as much as you can. And then you reach out to the governmental agencies that possibly can be helpful with unemployment insurance and so on. But I would try to take the most proactive approach. And there's some people, because of their own brain health, mental health, that are unable to work or don't have the confidence to work, that, you know, they end up really putting a lot of stress on other family members.
And you know, one thing I'm hearing along with Dr. Amen, Mandy, is you've been the primary caretaker for a very long time. And so that's a lot of stress for you to hold. But with you losing your job, guess what? He just increased his stress to the point where he's becoming unsafe, right? When you start throwing things, breaking things, putting holes in windows. And so I am also in agreement. I think it might help to make a call to even adult protective services. I think a lot of times we're afraid of these governmental agencies like adult protective agencies or child protective services, but they come in with a worker to your home, and they can help you resource some things that are right in your area. NAMI, the National Association of Mental Illness, and last time we were on, Dr. Amen, Steve, you and I were we were talking about how to rename, right, even this idea of mental illness. But NAMI is online, and they're a great resource also for situations like yours. But don't do nothing, right? Sometimes we get into fear and we freeze, and then things get worse around us. Reach out, get assistance, get help today, and have some folks come in and help you triage your situation right now.
Mandy, there is a condition, it's official, you could say, and it's called learned helplessness. And I think he really fits into this when you have a 50-year-old man who hasn't worked for 13 years. And what that person does is they get more helpless and helpless, and then they start turning to anger, rage, to control the person that they're totally dependent on. And I can't encourage you more to get into a codependency group immediately with the support of some other women. I want you to hold on. I want to see if we could get you in with a counselor in your area that could help you deal with this on a day-to-day basis, because your safety is number one and your freedom is number two. You've proven that you are not helpful to him. Things are worse, not better. So hold on and let me try to get some help for you. Anybody listening, if you're in a situation like this, it's obvious that whatever you're doing isn't making a difference. And so, you know, like if you have a 24-year-old in the basement that isn't working, you say, well, I can't throw him out on the street. Well, you could throw him out on the driveway, or you could put him in the front yard. There are things you can do other than become a victim of whatever it is that's brought them to this place. So we just maintaining the status quo it isn't going to be helpful. If you want some help with some strategy, you call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE, and we'll help you with this. We'll take a break. I will remind you, The End of Mental Illness. It's a book to try to transform the whole thinking about problems. Problems don't go away, but how we approach them has everything in the world to do with how we're going to deal with it. Right now, we've got a virus. It's a problem. But I got to tell you, we're going to look back and say we got through it. Just like 9/11, we got through it. Swine flu, we're going to get through this. The question is, we're going to do it well or not? Are we going to endanger other people or not? I think we can come through it stronger, better, and growing closer to the Lord if we'll humble ourselves during this time. But we're here to help you at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. If you're struggling, you don't have to do it alone. You can call us. We'll be back after this.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You're a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in the biblical.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back, Steve Arterburn here. Many of you know we are on Facebook Live at this very minute. Well, Dr. Jill Hubbard and I are going to do a special Facebook Live event tomorrow. It's going to be 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you have a question that you'd like us to talk about, whether it's the coronavirus or anything, or how you deal with it and help somebody else, you could ask that question at this email that we've set up, stevesocial@newlife.com. I think it's so great that it's not Steve Antisocial, but it's stevesocial@newlife.com. But join us Facebook Live, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. And what we're doing here is we're hoping that somebody that maybe wouldn't normally be listening to us during the day, they'll be listening then. As I mentioned yesterday, the prime time for radio, of course, is drive time in the morning, drive time in the afternoon. And on Sirius XM and like WAVA, the big station there, we're in the top 5 and we're the only one that's not in the drive time category. There's a spike in the middle of the day. And so I'm just saying, when you support our program, you're supporting people that, however they do it, work, home, they stop what they're doing and they listen to the broadcast. And we thank you for that support. it really means a lot to us.
Dr. Amen, I have a question for you. Just thinking about Mandy and her brother and so many other folks. So can you talk to us a little bit about depression? Because when somebody is depressed, like your brother is, and they're not being treated, their brain isn't getting the resources and help it needs, they're irritable. Their moods drop. They have problems with sleep and appetite. They can catastrophize, right? Or have a flood of negative emotions. And so I'm just picturing them in this house. And what can people do with someone who is depressed in light of helping their brain get better?
Well, as I was thinking about it during the break, and I talk about this in the book, tough love works for people whose brains work right. But for people whose brains don't work right, it's not very effective. And so one of the questions I had is, did he have a head injury? Has he been exposed to environmental toxins? Is there an infection going on? And when we don't know, the easiest thing to do is call him bad. The harder thing is to go, why is someone, just not able to do their lives? And it's so painful for other people. So, we could say he's depressed, and then he could go get an antidepressant, and maybe he's already done that. But when that doesn't work, people call it a character problem, and people forget, well, where does character come from? Character comes from the physical functioning over time of your brain. And, he is someone at some point we would just dearly love to scan to try to understand why he is struggling the way that he is. And it, no question, causes stress in everyone else's life, too.
And I just had been thinking, too, as both their parents died 15 years ago, then he lost his job 13 years ago. So even complicated bereavement, people who have not found a way to express and get their sad out, can become depressed, and there's treatment for that. There's groups for that. Depression is not a death sentence. It's an opportunity to figure out what's needed to heal.
And one of the great messages that comes from Dr. Amen is whatever you're dealing with, you can make the worst of it or the best of it, and you want to have the best chance with the best brain ever. And that's what I appreciate. Again, gift of any amount today, I'm going to send you The End of Mental Illness. It really could be a game changer for you. Let's go to Connie from Arcadia, California. She listens on KKLA. How you doing?
Fine, thank you.
What's going on with you today, Connie?
Oh, actually, I am calling in I attended the Finding Freedom workshop this past weekend.
Yes.
And I just want to call in to comment on it, encourage people to attend. So,
all right.
I actually attended the Finding Freedom workshop 2 years ago. And I was so inspired by it that I actually went back to school, and I'm on track to graduate with my counselors.
Woohoo!
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, because I remember there was a 5-year plan, and my 5-year plan was someday I'm going to go back to be a New Life counselor at one of these weekends.
So great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what happened for you what happened this past weekend when you came? Anything new?
Well, I didn't think I was going to get anything new because I felt like I dealt with a lot of issues just by listening to New Life for the last 15 years. And but I did. I actually was able to, my facilitator was great. Tricia helped us to, I dealt with more issues that I didn't know. I knew I had, but I didn't know that I still have things to deal with. So, yeah.
Well,
I really
thank
enjoyed.
you. Thanks for coming, and thanks for encouraging others. We're going to take a break. When we come back, all right. Thank you, Connie. Bless you. I'm going to send you a copy of this book just for calling in. By the way, when we come back, I would love for Dr. Amen to talk to us a little bit about brain type. We're going to be here for an hour and a half, I'd love to take your call at 1-800-229-3000. We'll be back right after this.
She said, we need to talk. She's asked me for the first time if I would consider myself a sex addict. You know, I thought it was just about admitting the things that I had done wrong. I never had a clue that it was about redeeming our story. You know, I thought it was just about coming clean on what I had done. I had no idea how to help her with her pain. She was a mess, I was a mess, and we got divorced. Going to EMB, surrounding myself with these other men, they accepted me for who I was and what I had done, but they challenged me to step up and do better. You know, they'll be around other men who are not just pointing the finger, but willing to get in and wade through it with them, you know, get in the trenches. They'll get hope from this workshop. Take my sweet wife and my story. We were divorced, remarried, and on our way to what I think will be the sweetest years of our lives. You know, it's no longer simply about surviving. For the first time ever, you know, we're thriving, we're enjoying where we're at.
Hey, listen, if you're struggling, we want to see you at the workshop. Give us a call, 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I turned on New Life, and the topic that day was about anxiety. And just by listening, I got relief.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the Transformation Welcome Gift, which includes a personal-sized Life Recovery Bible, a Life Recovery Journal, and 5 Life Recovery Workbooks. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops.
I did go to Take Your Life Back. That's been immensely helpful to me. That's why I continue to support the ministry with the hope that not only am I helping my own situation, that I'm helping others as well.
Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here, our special guest today, Dr. Daniel Amen. We love it when Dr. Amen is on. Why? Because we love Dr. Amen, and he's been such a help to me. Dr. Sheri Keffer, who has been called my Braingel, introduced us and got us together, and life has never, ever been the same. Dr. Amen, brain type. In this wonderful book, you talk about different types of brains. And I just think that's revolutionary to some people, because a lot of people think kidney, liver, brain. Not true. Talk about that.
Well, you know, at Amen Clinics, we look at people's brains. We do a study called brain SPECT imaging that looks at blood flow and activity. It looks at how your brain works. And one of the first things we learned is everybody's brain is not the same. That we all have different types of brains. And I first described it with people at ADD, and I went, oh, it's not one thing. It's 7 different things. Giving someone the diagnosis of ADD is sort of like giving them the diagnosis of chest pain. Nobody gets a diagnosis of chest pain because it doesn't tell you what causes it or what to do for it. There are many different causes. The same thing with depression, with anxiety, with OCD, and so on. And then I went, well, even if you don't have a problem, we have balanced people who just seem to go with the flow. We have spontaneous people who are more impulsive. We have persistent people who can't let go of negative thoughts. We have sensitive people who tend to be like Eeyore, and sad and go to the negative. And then we have cautious people who tend to be anxious. And so knowing your brain type leads to a whole set of interventions. So for the balanced people, just keep your brain healthy. For the spontaneous people, we have to activate your frontal lobes, and sometimes medication can work, certain supplements can work. And that's true for each of the types. And people can actually, they can find out about their type in the book, or they can go to a free brain health assessment, brainhealthassessment.com, and it'll tell you what your brain type is and then give you some simple solutions.
Okay. Before we go to the next call, I want you to address one thing. Somebody asked me the other day, so if I get my brain chemistry right and all supplemented up and medicated, does that take care of the trauma? I said, well, next time Dr. Amen's on the program, I'm going to let him answer that for you. So somebody might hear all this and think, I just got to go get the physiological part of the brain fixed. Well, what do you say to that question?
You know, when I was in medical school, in the first week, the dean of our medical students said, never think of patients as their diagnosis. Always think about them in 4 big circles. They have a biology, so that's their brain. Get your brain right. There's a psychology, or how you think. And earlier we talked about disinfecting your thoughts, killing the ants, the automatic negative thoughts. So once you get the hardware right, you still have to get the software right.
Yeah.
And then there's a social circle, who you hang out with. So think of it as network connections. And even though we're supposed to be in social isolation now, you want to be reaching out by the telephone, by FaceTime, by any way you can to stay connected. But then what most psychiatrists never talk about, except on your show, is there's a spiritual circle, which is, why the heck do you care? What's your relationship like with God? What's your relationship like with the past, with the future, with the planet? All of these things are critical, because people who have deeply held spiritual beliefs, when they get depressed, they get better twice as fast. So it's all 4 of those circles. So someone who's had trauma, get your brain right first, because you can't program a computer that has hardware problems. In psychotherapy, which I'm a huge fan of, Sheri knows that, you know that, but if you try to do software programming on people that have hardware problems, not very effective.
So good, so good. And it just reminds me of Jeremiah 6:14, where good old Jeremiah back then was warning us, saying, they treat the deep mortal wounds of my people with superficial treatments. Don't be guilty of that. There's more than just learning a verse or telling somebody to go and try harder. We really need to help people with whatever help they need. Let's go to Lisa, Portland, Oregon. She listens on Sirius XM. Hi, Lisa. How are you?
I'm doing well. I had a question regarding the brain health and childhood trauma, excessive childhood trauma, leading into early 20 recreational drug abuse, and and now approaching 60. What approach would someone take for brain health? Is there any hope at this point? I can tell a decline in memory, short term, and just really simple things. And I feel like it's more stress-induced more than anything, long-term stress-induced. So what approach would someone take for that?
Okay, Dr. Amen, what do you think?
So 60 is really young. And now that I'm 65, it's like really young.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And your brain can be better tomorrow if you make better habits today. I mean, that's really one of the most exciting messages. And in the book, I teach you exactly how to do that. And it's based on a mnemonic I created called Bright Mind. If you want to keep your brain healthy or rescue it if it's headed to the dark place because of those things that you talk about, you have to prevent or treat the 11 major risk factors that steal your mind. So, for example, if you make sleep a priority tonight, your brain's going to be better tomorrow. Getting healthy sleep turns on 700 health-promoting genes. And so by engaging in the right habits just for that one risk factor, your memory will be better tomorrow. But if you stay up tonight and you read all the terrible news, and what's interesting is people go to all these different news sites and they'll read the same article, but you're getting pummeled with the same bad information over and over again. After dark, turn off your gadgets so your eyes are not loaded with blue light that turns off the production of melatonin so you don't sleep. And then engage in the right kind of habits, so warm bath, soothing music, reading a book, but not Stephen King right before bed.
No.
Read a book about something you know you want to learn, but it's not that interesting. It totally help you go to sleep.
Well, I got to tell you, a lot of people have read my books and fallen asleep doing that. But here's a better way to go. Our warehouse there in Dallas is so efficient. It's just a wonderful, wonderful warehouse where we ship out product. And, you know, if you want this book during this downtime, this extra time that so many of us have, we're going to try to rush it to you. You call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask about it, the end of mental illness. Also, I just can't recommend enough. We have this there too. I was just there last week. Stones of Remembrance. And these are healing scriptures for your mind, body, and soul. I did the foreword to this little book, but every topic you can imagine, Dr. Amen has pulled together these great, great scriptures for us to read, to memorize, and all, you know, hope, anger, anything. It's right here. And so ask about that. Order a copy of that. You'll love this little book. A lot of people, they see Dr. Amen on public television. They don't realize he went to Oral Roberts University. You know, he's one of us. And it's so fantastic to see him there, or to see him in the video series that Justin Bieber and his wife are doing, or to know that Miley Cyrus is working with him. He really has an impact on the world. He's impacted my world, and he can impact yours. How? Well, you get the book. You could call his clinic. You could call us and let us help you navigate a way to a better way of being. Really is true when you change your brain. Oh my goodness, you change so much. You change your life. You could change your future. We'll take a break. We'll come right back with more of your calls at 1-800-229-3000. It's a great day to be here.
My wife had found me out and came home one weekend. She had revealed my secret. The only reason I was sorry at that time is because I had been caught. I had had the Every Man's Battle book for years and pulled that book out that weekend and found the phone number on the back and called it. And then a week later, I was at Every Man's Battle. It really gave me the start I needed for my recovery. I never had had that opportunity to sit down with guys I didn't even know and totally open up. The good thing was I was opening up to guys I didn't even know. So why did I care? Just lay it all out on the table. I have nothing to lose. You need to check it out. At least go online, check out what it's about, and take the chance and go do it.
If you're struggling, call us. There are people on the other end of the line who want to hear from you, who want to help you. We don't want you to go on struggling, but you got to take that first step. Just give us a call. It's 1-800-639-5433. It's 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again. You seem to be able to get to the crux of a problem quickly.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for you and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to
fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here. 1-800-NEW-LIFE if you need some help, a gift of any amount. And boy, do we need your support during this tough time. We'll send you the end of mental illness. I want to go to Beth right now. And if you're on the line, hold on. We're going to do another program right after this. Philadelphia, WFIL is the station. Beth, you're on with Dr. Sheri, Keffer, and Dr. Amon. How could we help today?
Thank you so much for taking my call. I've been diagnosed with PTSD, traumatic amnesia, and post-traumatic amnesia. Also with ADD from University of Pennsylvania's Department of Neuropsychology. I find I'm almost 70 that as I'm getting older, the ADD seems to be getting worse, and I'm having trouble with functioning as efficiently as I should, and I was wondering what you could suggest.
Well, Dr. Amon, what do you think would be at her age in all of this? What's a good first step for somebody? Because that's pretty complicated.
Well, I was almost horrified listening to the story because I just wondered, through all of the hell at those really great places, have they talked to you about brain health?
No.
Yeah, that's insane.
How did you know that, Dr. Amon? How did you know that? That's a profound question to ask.
Because that's our experience. You know, people come to Amon clinics, on average, they have 4.2 diagnoses. They're complicated. And they have failed 3.3 providers and 5 medications. And no one's talking about the organ that is creating happiness or trauma. And if we don't start, when I saw Justin Bieber, and Justin was very complicated, ADD, substance abuse, worldwide fame, worldwide shame. And I couldn't get him to do what he needed to do until one day he came into my office and he said, I get it. My brain is an organ, just like my heart is an organ. If you told me I had heart problems, I'd do everything you said. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to do everything you said.
Wow.
And he changed his diet. He slept better. He exercised more consistently. And he began loving the organ that God gave him. Your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit that is given to you by God, that was bought for you at a price, the blood of Jesus Christ. Well, if your body is the temple, your brain is the inner sanctum. And learning how to love and care for it is the first step in mental health. It's not the last step.
Yeah.
And it's just critical. So, you know, we should send her a copy of the book. And what I want you to do is just go with these 11 risk factors: blood flow, retirement and aging, inflammation, genetics, head trauma, and so on. Which are the ones you have, and how can we go after each one of them individually? Because when I heard you say, you know, you had ADD and it's getting worse, well, of course it's getting worse, because they're not talking to you about getting your brain healthy. And what naturally happens in the brain with age, it's terrible news. It gets in less active, but it doesn't have to. And that's what I get really excited about.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me just, Beth, I'm going to send you this book, and I hope that that is going to help you. I'd love for us to be able to find a counselor for you. I would love for you to come to Finding Freedom the next time that we do it. There's tremendous hope, but you really do have to take a next step and do what you can with what you can afford. But we're going to try to help you however we can. And again, I just want to encourage people, get a copy of this book. Call us right now, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'll try to get it to you as soon as we can. It is the end of mental illness, and it really does help you see your own emotional or spiritual or psychological issue from a totally different perspective. I want to shift gears here. Larry Sonnenberg is in the studio. Larry, it's no secret that everything is different, and I'd like you to do two things. You were there with us for the weekend. I'd like you to read a testimony of somebody who was impacted because people support us, and then let's talk about our need for support during tough times.
Okay, we have so many testimonies, but I want to read a one that's about the briefest one, but it's powerful, I think. I came wounded, shameful, hurting. I'm leaving empowered, loved, hopeful, secure, and ready with a plan to walk through my anger and come out stronger on the other side.
There you go.
Just the before and after is just, that's so powerful.
It is.
So if you can support us, that's what you're supporting.
That's right.
But you know, these are different times. They're uncertain times. And I loved one thing that I read recently that said, we haven't lost the sense of certainty. We've lost our illusion of certainty because we never had it to begin with. And so as you walk through that, you know, the secret really is to acknowledge that God's got this. He knows how things are going to come out, and we're going to have to lean into that. And as we lean into it as an organization, part of that leaning in is looking to you, because God works through people. And we are dealing with, you know, we had to cancel a few events because of the limitations of size of meetings.
Yeah.
And we had hotel contracts, and we're negotiating with those hotels, and some of them want payment anyway as long as we reschedule next year. Others want penalties. We're just dealing with money issues, and we're not sure how everybody will respond to the stock market collapse that we've seen lately. So if you can give, all sizes of gifts. There's some folks that can give $5, $10, $20, $50. There's some of you folks that have foundations with a lot of money in them. We receive gifts of all sizes. If you would please help us. That's going to be the answer to the uncertainty that we feel here.
And you know what I want to add to that, Larry? Oftentimes in times like this, people have a spirit of scarcity that comes over them. And what God has called us to is to be wise, but to live in abundance, because he promises to keep us alive in famine. But if y'all get scared and everything closes up, it impacts us. So really try to ask the Lord how to open your heart and hand and send a gift right now during this time.
If you can't send the gift, send some toilet paper, would you?
Well, that is fine.
Larry.
Well, I just know this, that when we get in trouble, a lot of times we have to do the thing that's most uncomfortable to do. When I was deeply, deeply depressed, someone helped me get out of bed and with a putter and one golf club, go to a golf course and walk that golf course. And that was the only thing, it just from hole to hole, it got me out of the house, out of the darkness, into the light. If you're afraid about money, maybe it's giving that helps you deal with that fear. Now, I'd love to tell you, if you give, we're going to send you a pink Cadillac. That we can't do that. But
or toilet paper.
But it's just between you and God. But when you are worried about you, and you reach out and you support us and let us help somebody else, I really do believe that God does bless that in a great way. Not financially back to you, but I think really restores your spirit. My thanks to Dr. Amen. Oh my goodness. What a great guest. He'll be on for another hour. You join us right now, 1-800-229-3000, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. If you need some help or you can help us.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you. But you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, Steve Arterburn here. Thanks for watching New Life Live on our New Life YouTube channel. You know, you can see it anytime. Hope you'll subscribe, and when you do, hope you'll turn that little button thing on, the bell, so that whenever we post a new video, it'll ring right through. Now, if you go to newlife.com, you'll see the schedule of when we're in the studio, which is helpful to know if you have a question for the program, or you could go to newlife.com or call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. You could do this on the app. I mean, there's so many ways that you can stay in touch with us and know when we're there, because we want to answer your questions. So thanks for watching right here on the New Life YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time. Click here to subscribe.